Toronto FC wins 4-2 on Wednesday night here at BMO Field, taking the first leg of this Canadian Championship semi-final against the Montreal Impact. My three thoughts on the night: first of all, number one, the result. TFC, of course, going to be a little disappointed not to leave here with a bigger lead. Of course, they were winning 4-0 with 3 minutes remaining, and Drogba did what Drogba does. He sets up the first with a beautiful ball to Michael Salazar, scores the second on a free kick. But at the same time, had you offered TFC a 2-goal advantage heading back to Montreal before this match, given the lineups, given that TFC was fielding a largely reserve lineup and Montreal was fielding at least a very first team in terms of the attacking setup with Drogba, Piatti, Adoro, Toronto FC would have taken it. So taking a 4-2 lead back to Montreal in this situation, considering the lineup, all things considered, TFC has to be happy going back to Montreal in full control. Number two, talking about the red card to Patrice Bernier. First of all, the correct call, absolutely the correct call by David Gantar. Lovitz goes to the ground early, wins the ball. Patrice Bernier extremely late into that tackle, and not only late, but goes in with a lot of force, goes in with cleats exposed, basically slides through Lovitz, and Gantar with no choice but to send Patrice Bernier off, and Montreal goes down to 10 men. Yeah, people talked about how Daniel Lovitz should have received something afterwards, maybe a red card, maybe a yellow card for shoving Bernier and reacting, but this is big boy sports. This is what happens when emotions flare, and I think Gantar used good judgment in only sending off Bernier and keeping everybody else off the pitch, because a melee ensued after that. In terms of number three, just looking at TFC and what this result meant to them, the month of May was not good for TFC. Yes, they only lost one time at home to Vancouver, and of course losing last week to New York, but the home form wasn't good enough. They play well against Dallas, of course, come back a stinker against Vancouver, and then back-to-back draws. It wasn't good enough at home, and then last weekend getting shellacked at New York 3-0. They needed tonight's win more than anything. They needed to start scoring more than anything. They hadn't scored in 5 straight halves. So this offensive outburst is going to give them a little bit of confidence. It's going to kind of bring a little bit of joy and confidence back to the dressing room, because things were trending in the wrong direction, and now they're going to feel like they have all of the opportunity in the world to advance next week at Saputo Stadium. In terms of me, I'm heading to France next Tuesday to begin coverage of Euro 2016. The Sun will continue covering Toronto FC and the Canadian Championship without me via other reporters at the Toronto Sun. So keep following along and look for my coverage beginning next week in Europe. For the Toronto Sun, I'm Kurt Larson.